If your life depended on a pass, we're sure you wouldn't trust these guys. The worst quarterbacks in NFL history. Before we dive in and enjoy this video, remember to subscribe to Go to Football, Ryan Leaf. In the 1998 NFL Draft, the question on everyone's mind was who would go first overall, a certain someone named Manning or Ryan Leaf. The Colts chose Peyton Manning with the first pick, and the Chargers went with Leaf at number 2. And as they say, the rest is history. While the Colts can proudly say they made the right choice with Manning, the same cannot be said for the Chargers. The Washington State University quarterback had sky-high expectations in his rookie season. He was one of the best quarterbacks of his generation in college, holding the record for the most consecutive completions in a single game, 34, leading the Pac-10 in completions and passing yards for 2 years in a row, and winning the Davey O'Brien Award for Best College Quarterback. Sounds promising, right? Wrong. His rookie season could not have gone any worse. In the 9 games he started, he threw just 2 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. On top of that, he had a terrible attitude and constantly bickered with coaches and the media. The Chargers had no choice but to cut him, and he was subsequently given chances with the Buccaneers, Cowboys, and Seahawks. But in Atlanta, he managed to outdo himself, getting cut before the season even began. At the young age of 26, Leaf retired, having already secured his legacy as the worst quarterback in NFL history with a 4-17 record, a 36 touchdown interception ratio, and a completion percentage below 50%. We all know the real winner in that draft was Manning. If Ryan Leaf was a disappointment, Jamarcus Russell was a disaster. In the 2007 draft, the Raiders chose one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL history with the first overall pick. And to secure his talents, they signed him to a 6-year, $61 million contract with $32 million guaranteed. Russell, however, failed to make a big impact in the league. In the 4 games he played in his rookie season, he threw just 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, with a completion percentage just over 50%. In his second year, despite the Raiders placing a lot of faith in him, Russell continued to underwhelm. He started in 15 games and led the team to a record of 5-10 while completing only 53.8% of his passes. Not exactly impressive work. In addition to his mediocre performance on the field, Russell had a terrible attitude. He showed up to practices overweight, unmotivated, and unprepared on the team's schemes. To test his commitment, it's been rumored that the team gave him blank tapes to see if he was really studying. And the next day, Russell claimed he had watched all the tapes. This was the last straw for the Raiders, who eventually cut ties with him. Russell's career came to an end with a record of 7-18, 18 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, 25 fumbles, and a completion percentage of just 52.1%. Speaking of poor ethics and discipline, we can't help but continue with Johnny Football. Johnny Manziel was perhaps one of the most electrifying players in college football history. He was the first ever freshman to win the Heisman Trophy. This incredible success led Manziel to become an instant celebrity, from hanging out with LeBron James to partying with Drake. Manziel was everywhere. And maybe that was the problem. It seemed that the young talent enjoyed the fame more than being a professional player. And maybe that's exactly how it was. In 2014, Manziel was selected by the Browns with the 22nd overall pick, reigniting the city's sports spirit since LeBron had left for Miami. Cleveland's enthusiasm for Manziel quickly faded, however. Manziel completed his rookie season with just 175 passing yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, and a completion percentage of 54.1% in 5 games played. The worst part was that while Manziel's on-field performances left a lot to be desired, his off-field antics caused a stir. He was often caught partying, and fears about his love for the party lifestyle were confirmed when he checked into a rehabilitation center. The exhausted Browns released him from his contract, and needless to say, Manziel never signed another NFL contract. Chris Weinke was another Heisman Trophy winner, drafted in the 4th round of the 2001 NFL Draft. Weinke had a rather unique career. Until then, he had been playing baseball in the minor leagues, but the Carolina Panthers believed in him and his talent. Weinke's star burned brightly at the beginning when he led the rookie Panthers to an incredible victory in the first week. But then his star flickered and died. In successive games, he threw 19 interceptions and only 11 touchdowns with a completion percentage of just 54.3%. After 1 year of starting strong but finishing poorly, the Panthers lost their confidence in the former baseball player. In the next 3 seasons, Wynka only started in 4 games. The Panthers no longer saw potential in Wynka, but when all seemed lost, the 49ers believed in him. The 49ers were desperate after losing all 3 of their quarterbacks due to injuries. Wynka started in only 1 game before his career ended definitively with a record of 2-18 as a starter with 15 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 54.4%. Even though Wynka's stats are impressive, no one has found a way to turn over the ball more than Keely Smith. Hailing from Oregon, Smith emerged as an excellent quarterback, and his potential was recognized in the 1999 NFL Draft. He was chosen in the 3rd round as the 3rd overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals, and they wanted him so badly that they refused an offer of 9 draft picks to take him as a rookie. Smith played in 7 games, 4 of which he started, and he stood out with 6 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and a completion percentage of 52.3%. As we know, rookie years are difficult, and it takes time to adjust. Smith then entered the 2nd season determined to do better, but he failed to do so. His end-of-year statistics show a record of 2-9 as a starter, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 14 fumbles. However, the Bengals continued to trust him. In the next 2 years, Smith completed 17 of his 41 passes for 154 yards and 0 touchdowns, along with a fumble and an interception for good measure. The statistics of his career show only 5 touchdowns, a completion percentage of 46.6%, 13 interceptions, and 19 fumbles. Kim McQuilkin's career is also notable for his almost incredible statistics. He was chosen in the 3rd round by the Falcons in 1974, and as a rookie, McQuilkin played in 5 games, starting 2, and managed to collect an impressive 9 interceptions and no touchdowns. Could it get any worse? Yes, it can. In his 2nd year, McQuilkin played in 3 games and once again put together 9 interceptions with just 1 touchdown. After the Falcons, Washington gave him a chance as a reserve. In Washington, McQuilkin finished with 4 touchdowns, 29 interceptions, and a completion percentage of less than 40%. Heath Shuler, who was selected in the 1994 NFL Draft by the Redskins as the 3rd overall pick. Washington was so convinced that Shuler was going to be the face of their franchise for the future that they signed him to a 7-year contract. However, Shuler did not live up to expectations. As a rookie, he secured a record of 1 win in 7 games, with 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 45.3%. His performances were so poor that Washington immediately traded him to the Saints the following year. In New Orleans, Shuler collected 14 interceptions with just 2 touchdowns. After 2 dreadful seasons, Shuler was avoided like the plague, and his career was over. From Washington's illusions to Detroit's. Joey Harrington, who was the cover athlete of the EA Sports NCAA Football 2003 video game, was selected by the Detroit Lions with the 3rd overall pick in the 2002 NFL Draft, with the hope that he could finally turn things around for the franchise. However, as a rookie, Harrington set a record of 3-9 and completed only half of his passes, throwing 4 interceptions more than touchdowns. After an underwhelming first year, Harrington improved the following season, collecting 22 interceptions. The Lions, disappointed by 2 more underwhelming seasons, decided to trade him to Miami. From Detroit to the shores of Miami, the change was significant. But Harrington's interception problem continued as he threw 15 interceptions in just 11 games. Harrington didn't get another chance and concluded his career with only 1 season where he threw more touchdowns than interceptions, and never ended a season with a winning record. Continuing with great promises that did not meet expectations, it is the turn of Matt Leinart. Leinart was considered one of the top talents in college football when he won the Heisman Trophy in 2004, the Walter Camp Award, the Manning Award, and the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award in 2005. As a result, he was expected to become a great player. The Arizona Cardinals selected him with the 10th overall pick, believing that his impact would be devastating. However, things did not go as planned. In his first few games, the golden boy of college football threw more interceptions than touchdowns, completing only 56% of his passes. The following years were a disaster, and at the beginning of his 5th year in Arizona, before the final preseason game, the Cardinals were so frustrated with his performance that they cut him. He threw 21 interceptions and 15 touchdowns with a completion percentage of 57.1%. We close this special installment with DeShone Kizer, the man who made NFL history. Kizer was selected by the Cleveland Browns in the second round of the 2017 NFL Draft and was given the opportunity to start from the first game of the season. However, things did not go well for him. In 15 games as a starter that year, he threw 22 interceptions and only 11 touchdowns, completing only 53.6% of his passes. Despite leading the league in interceptions, the Browns did not win a single game that year. The following year, Kizer was traded to the Green Bay Packers, but he only played in 3 games, throwing 2 interceptions without any touchdowns. He then moved to the Oakland Raiders and the Tennessee Titans. However, Kizer has made history in the NFL record books as the only player to have never won a game as a starter. What do you guys think? Who's the quarterback that has let you down the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Go to Football, the channel made by fans for fans. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.